Welcome. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Welcome to another stream. How is everyone? How is everyone doing? What a week. We are kind of looking forward for a good start of March and hope we're looking for some momentum setups. Hey, Sarav, welcome. Welcome in. Yeah, so we were looking for some momentum in March, and it didn't disappoint, at least for now. Like, not even just in regards to the dollar, which finally moved away from that range that's been quite a few weeks in there. And of course, as a consequence, we look at the euro, at the pound, and so on, also moved. But even with the minor coins, even looking at CAD, Euro CAD, Pound CAD, at the Aussie, with Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, and Aussie dollar as well, and of course the yen pairs, which it finally moved as well in here. So it's starting to rally. We've been waiting for this opportunity. We've been looking for this reversal for quite a while, and it's starting to have exactly that PA, and there you go. Like, and that was definitely also something that our guys also took advantage from. Like, so it was a good week, as of course, not even looking at the Bitcoin and gold, which continue to break all-time highs, and the indices as well, which starts to become quite volatile in that zone 3 of a move, which is kind of a compression behavior. Anytime it breaks highs, is the expectation maybe to retrace straight away after that. And we may be actually close to potential deeper retracement on the indices, something that we're going to also take a look into it. But yeah, so again, after maybe 1.5 2 months of a bit of a range, especially on the dollar, for anyone that is trading FX and especially just trading the majors, it may have not been the greatest beginning of the year with a lot of ranging setups, but now it's finally moving. Like, just as you can see here, we had so far quite a lot of ranging weeks in here, not kind of in there, and then everything that was going on in this for this couple of weeks in here, and we finally moved away from there, which was also something that we were anticipating, which was the bearish dollar. We noticed that again there was still plenty of space underneath for price to fill, and again, question mark it would be from where. Yeah, okay, good collection of liquidity in there, and then price went down. I was even looking for price maybe to test one more time a bit closer to this level in here. Good, price now just decided to stay within that level. We start breaking lows, retest, and rest is history. In there, in the same way that we're looking for exactly the opposite on the euro dollar. Also the pound continue to look for more bullish momentum after the pound retested those or respected the demand zone. So everything kind of happened as we were anticipating, or the market was showing the indication towards to, which is nice. In there, ranging is when the market provides more liquidity trades opportunities, right? It can be, but if it starts to, right, I like that maybe double top and then reversal, the fake out, and goes with it, right? Like something like this, it's nice, create a little bit of a maybe a little bit liquidity, something like that, and it just drops. Like, but it starts to behave like this. That's too much. Like, I don't really start liking to trade in particular. Personally, like if anyone else, maybe they literally mastered this, which maybe just buy the bottom and sell the top, and then you carry on like that. But if it starts to have way too many touches, for example, look at euro pound as well, like so many touches at the highs. Even dollar CAD, which it was a chart that you shared with me. I was not really then focused too much on the highs anymore, just because of so many touches at the highs that price was creating in there. Yeah, for example, I prefer the PA on the euro card and the dollar card for the short, for example, this week. Yeah, it's just I just lose a little bit of interest when I start seeing so many ranges, and I just want to see price moving a little bit until the next level starts to be created, and when we move on from there. Right, again, in this particular case, for example, just on dollar index in here, yeah, you can see that this supply is still fresh. Like you can literally see that level. It was a zone that we actually predicted as well whenever this happened, and you can see that literally there's a space in here, and eventually price could go there. Yeah, it took a while. First, it didn't really fill the range, and then eventually created. But this is actually a nice piece of PA in there. Yeah, as in dollar card, not dollar card. Pound dollar, there's been another one in a complete range, which personally I think there were much better opportunities to trade this year already instead of pound dollar, for example. Yeah, you can definitely look for those liquidities, but then the situation is that every single high can then be a liquidity, and not really sure maybe if you are expecting another deep retracement or just a continuation. Yeah, the prediction it's not as clean when that happens. Yeah, just personally. So I stop really paying attention sometimes when I start seeing too many highs together, too many lows together, and I just wait for price to actually start creating some direction in there, and then I'll start tracking again the price. Yeah, in terms of the news, right, it was also not just what we were expecting from the market to start to move and to create some momentum, but also, well, one of the main reasons was the main again the news events, right? What happened this week, starting with Fed Chair Powell testifying twice in front of Congress. Again, I don't know if you guys even pay attention to it or not, if you even watched the session. Yeah, I kind of feel sorry a little bit for him to have to spend 2 hours, like 4 hours in answering those type of questions that they ask, like completely out of topic, a little bit, some of them, based on what the Fed responsibility is. Most of the time he's just saying, yep, I'm sorry, we are an independent kind of institution, we are not really taking in consideration anything political or whatever. But yes, it was more of the same, like, so looking to what the market is pricing in is the first rate cut to happen around June. Like, that's basically, and also what the Fed has been saying, at least when they did the prediction back in December, which this next meeting on the 20th of March is going to be an important one, because this is when the Fed is going to make a new forecast for the rest of the year, right? So again, it's going to be interesting to pay attention in there as well, to see what how the Fed sees the rate cuts and the economy and the inflation to go towards to the end of the year. But yes, at this point is the 12th of June, that meeting in the summer, when we are looking for, when the Fed is looking to cut rates for the first time in here. Okay, so at this point, March, no chance. May also, the odds are that it's going to remain the same. So that's exactly what you mentioned in terms of the economy. Yeah, it's following the trajectory as expected, even the inflation as well, but they still want to continue to see more data supporting the trajectory of the inflation to go towards a target of 2% in here. So that's basically what he did last week in front of Congress. Then starts raising also the question for the ECB, which we also had interest rate decision in ECB. Again, the rates remain unchanged as everyone was expecting. And again, the question is, okay, what type of data would you like to see in order to start considering to finally cut rates in the Eurozone? Like, again, Christine Lagarde, same story. Like not really, they haven't really been talking too much about that. It's something that they started to put on top of the table and during these conferences. And eventually, yeah, maybe in the summer. Question mark is also, of course, is the ECB going to wait for the Fed first to cut rates, or is going to actually take the kind of the lead of these rate cuts and maybe even do it before the Fed? That's another big question mark. And okay, and that can change a little bit the dynamic for that period between the dollar and the euro as well, if the ECB decides to actually be the first one to start cutting the rates. In terms of the economy, as of course she said, it's still quite weak, the economy in the eurozone. At least the job growth is starting to decrease, something that she wanted to see as well, in order for the inflation to start to help the inflation to eventually get to the target. She sees the target of 2% being reached next year in 2025. But again, the inflation at this point in the eurozone is quite steady at around 2.9, if not mistaken, something like that. So yeah, it's another interesting. Again, not really anything new being announced in there. Actually, there was a point that she mentioned, and also the governor, the Bank of Canada, which again, it was another interest rate. That's when you start seeing the CAD moving to the downside on Wednesday after this meeting. But something that they mentioned, both the governor, Bank of Canada, and also Christine Lagarde, is that, which is something that also I think the market is already expecting, and also I'm expecting as well, which while they were increasing the rates, it was quite aggressive, like 50 basis points, 25 basis points, meeting after meeting after meeting, and everything like in a steady way, the way they increased the interest rates. At this point, whenever they started to cutting, the expectation is not that. Like you can see in here, like it was super quick and aggressive, the way they increased the interest rates. Basically, what they are mentioning is that whenever they decide to start cutting, it's not going to be the same path. Okay, it's going to be maybe one cutting here, maybe another one, and then a pause for a few meetings, and then maybe another cut, and then another pause. It's going to be more of a slow decrease in terms of the interest rates, so it's just to kind of stabilize a little bit the market in that sense. And it makes sense in taking that path in here. So yeah, and then of course, another big factor of this week, it was the non-farm payroll, which starts to become a joke, to be honest. What's going on with the labor market in the US? Okay, so we had the job openings as well, which went again slightly lower than last month, but slightly higher also than expected. And the ADP non-farm payroll as well, kind of 140. But in regards to the NFP, it starts to become a joke, mostly because of the revision. Like whatever they are doing, the data that they announced, for example, yesterday, I don't know how many people are still taking this data series, to be honest, because everything is going to be revised the month after that. Like basically 275, they again beat the expectation, which is kind of a pattern that you can see. Always the bull bar kind of is above the kind of this goldish line. So meaning that the actual is actually beating the expectation. However, everything is revised then to the downside 1 month afterwards. Like basically in, if not mistaken, in December and January, basically it was revised, in January and February it was revised like minus 170,000 jobs that they initially mentioned that they were there, but they are not there. Another big aspect is most of these jobs that are being created, they are government jobs, like it's not really private. And also big question mark is how many are also from illegal immigrants, like they basically just bringing them to, I don't know, put them to work, while the actually Native Americans are actually losing their jobs. Like again, this is just almost data manipulation what they are doing right now. So it is what it is. 3.9%. That's where the unemployment is at this point. But it's starting to create kind of it's kind of being a joke at this point. But again, it is what it is. Which may be hiding some aspects of the economy that when they are going to be figured out, that can be kind of a big surprise to the downside in the market in here. And then of course next week the main the main news, sorry, is going to be CPI on Tuesday, so that's going to be quite interesting. And we're going to talk more about this one, in particular to the indices, which we may actually create the top for now, and price can go much lower from here. And also a lot of data in the UK. In the UK, that we also have the spring budget, but who cares about that at this point in here. So yeah, kind of in terms of the news, that's what we had last week. Right? And again, you may ask, like, does it really matter to look at fundamentals? Maybe yes, maybe not. At least be aware when the news comes out, so you at least expect some volatility. But it may also matter just to know how to position yourselves, like, and even to expect a lot of momentum or not. Again, another big factor that I was expecting momentum last week was because of the amount of news that you had, and also we could see that price has been ranging for a while, and it was starting to show a little bit of indication that it wanted to move and to run away from this indecision where it was for the last couple of weeks, right? But then the data also matters. Like when you look at the calendar, you can start anticipating what to look for in here. So again, let's start with the analysis. All right, and the dollar in this particular case, which is always one that we kind of take into consideration quite a lot in here. So again, not really has changed. One second, you just ask a question. The news can make a big move, break levels, and give a signal to move in a direction. Again, in my opinion, it's still whatever DPI that we have. That's actually the most important part. The news can create a faster movement than if there was no news in there, but it will be a bit naive if you don't really actually then understand of what the market is actually taking into consideration or paying attention to in specific moments, right? Because actually that helps you to understand that maybe if a certain news comes out, maybe you can expect bigger move comparing with the opposite or not, or how the market is thinking about certain aspects. But in my opinion, it's still by paying attention of what the market, or what we can see on the charts, that's still for me the main important part in here. If I see a break below a low, kind of as an engulf to downside, just literally the dollar is a good example, right? Just price breaking below this level, literally, and having still all this space to fill. That's why we have been positioning ourselves still a short on the dollar, which again eventually end up happening in here. Okay, basically to fill first this range to the downside before actually going there or breaking that highs. Okay, so again, this is a little bit of what I mentioned in a nutshell. Now, bigger picture on the dollar. Yes, we had first this break to the upside in here, which again, bigger picture can still be considered a little bit as an engulf to the upside, even though yeah, I'll try to see maybe where price can eventually go towards to. Okay, now that we managed to break below this level, yes, price is retesting a little bit of this demand zone. On the daily time frame is actually not a bad level in here. Okay, it's actually reacting from this, can be seen almost as a demand zone that managed to create this momentum away from this range. So it's a valid demand zone, to be honest, or a decision point in there. Now in the lower time frame, may not really look as great, even though it's still there, right? The demand zone is still there. It was basically one of the last ones that is still fresh. Everything else has been basically spiked in there. So yeah, if there is by any chance, if there is a level in here that can still push price higher from here, that would be one of them. Otherwise, I could see eventually price filling everything out of this price, even getting below that low, and eventually getting closer to this level in here, which again, it's going to be interesting to see how price is going to open next week on Monday, to see if by any chance we're going to have that continuation to the downside. We may have a few levels in here that price can react from and push lower. Now this level in here was reacted straight away with the NFP. Okay, yesterday after we broke the low, we reacted from it and we moved lower, so it's a bit weaker, to be honest, in there. So that's something to bear in mind, as you can see in here. So we broke below that low, price retested it straight away in the morning, or actually overnight, and then it created this level in here that eventually the NFP price spiked, reacted to, and it moved forward, right? So we have this level in here to look for. Now this price wants to go eventually a little bit more to the upside, and eventually to the supply that actually managed to break these lows. Maybe can do that, and you'll see how it happens afterwards. Or you can just respect still this level and just slowly continue to move forward. So again, the opening on Monday is going to be quite interesting to pay attention to in here. Now, yeah, that's a little bit of maybe of what to pay attention to. Also with the pound, with the euro, and so on. One point about the NFP, which is quite interesting, especially when the indices was in there as well. Actually, yesterday's NFP, it was it reminded me the old days where actually there was manipulation during the news. Like we had first kind of a spike in one direction, then a move to the opposite side, and then price just kind of turned in here. Okay, so in this case it was basically the first spike up, then price moved down, and then eventually price started to move in this direction instead of just continuing. The last few months, even maybe a couple of years, maybe last few months to be honest, since last year, anytime we had kind of a strong or any data from the NFP, it has been more kind of a continuation setup, not so much kind of a reversal in here. So yeah, this first spike showing the direction, then the fake out, and then eventually we have the move. Even though in here that's not exactly an engulf, because price actually kind of respected this level, and that's why I wanted to mention more of the indices. The indices was a bit more clear. We actually had an engulf down before the final push up, and then you can have the move to the downside in there. So yeah, dollar hasn't really changed much in terms of our bigger picture bias, because this is actually what we're looking for. And next week, are we looking for more continuation? Maybe we can do that. Like again, I'm looking for price eventually to get closer to this level. That's a level that I'm looking for, which eventually takes us a bit more into here. And then again, we are going to reassess if price by any chance is going to look for any reversals in here, taking into consideration this high, or if we are going to literally just continue to move lower, and this is going to be actually the top for now. And that's basically it in here. So whenever price gets into this level, yeah, we're going to look for what PA we have around this level in here. So yeah, let's see how the dollar is going to behave in here. Yeah, moving along with this one. Yeah, I can take a look at the indices. This is going to be an interesting one. Sorry, I was just drinking my coffee. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Whenever it happens, Mike, I'm not saying that it's going to happen right now, but whenever we have another one of those bearish runs on the indices, this can actually be quite an interesting target to retest this previous high from December 2021. Okay, because we actually had the breakaway from that level, and price never really retracted that zone. In reality, it created these highs in here that can be used as manipulation in here, since actually price break out this level, they never really retraced all the way towards here. Okay, so that's going to be an interesting one whenever we are ready to have a big reversal, which again, I'm still not. It could start happening, but we still need a lot of things to happen in here. And that's exactly what we covered last week, right? So we mentioned about this high. This is actually kind of a good piece of information. So we had this one on the S&P, right? So comparing with last week. So let's just take a look at what happened in here at this point. And let me just bring this one in here, and this is what we had. Okay, so let's ignore everything from there. So we had this level, and this is what we were looking for in here. Okay, So basically we had that structure, basically a high. We try to identify kind of a little bit of a base, and you have kind of a few touches in here, and then it finally breaks to downside, starts giving that that indication that price wants to go lower. Okay, so that's one of the first clues in here, is that price may be close to reverse, or at least get open the door to go a bit more further down. It doesn't mean, once again, that's going to be directly from here. It actually can mean that we may have one last fake out before we do that. Okay, and at least maybe we're testing this level. At least this is what I can see on this 15 minutes chart. Okay, with the final target at these walls. Okay, this is basically the rectangle that we had. And I did mention, kind of, I actually tweeted that that aspect. I think price last week closed somewhere in here. Tuesday, Wednesday, when did price closed? Monday, March. Yeah, somewhere in here maybe. I don't even remember when it was, but price was still in the middle. Price hasn't really gotten close to this low when I share that information, which is basically one of the best bearish signs that you can have, is when price creates the top and it leaves still levels at the highs that can be that are still fresh, and price can react from them and then eventually move to downside, right? So that would be point number one. Point number two, to confirm that bias or that potential setup from the top, is that we want to see the lows actually breaking structure. Okay, and in this particular case, it didn't happen, neither on S&P, neither on NASDAQ. Okay, price literally reacted all the way from the extreme in here at the lows. We never managed to break the low that we were looking for, at least the zone in here that we're looking for. Therefore, the expectation of looking for a big sell from there, it was basically not there anymore, or at least the odds kind of decreased quite a lot. Okay, now it doesn't mean that price is still not going to respect around that level. That's not what it means. Okay, price still can respect some of those levels. And another aspect is, if price bend, this is actually kind of another continuation of the clue of the pair that I wanted to mention, which is, so again, we are looking for price to react either from the kind of respecting the left shoulder on the right shoulder, somewhere in here, right? And we are looking for price to, from here, maybe make this kind of a move, or from here, sorry, or from here as well, or at the extreme to be even in there. One of the things that we can start anticipating is, if price then doesn't really engulf the downside, and we are looking at this level, if price doesn't really break this level, the likelihood is actually this level in here, the extreme, is not going to really work anymore kind of as a short, or at least a big short. It can actually be a great level to look for a long after we actually manage to break these highs. Okay, that's kind of that flip zone that starts to happen. What initially could have been a great level to look for a short, which is not confirmed by this low, it actually ends up being a good level to look for a long after we actually manage to break this level. And if you have anything good in alignment in here, right, when price kind of breaks away from this level, if it creates kind of a good zone, maybe there you go, or if it is still fresh, there you go, that's a good level to expect price to react from, and maybe then continue to move upwards. Okay, so that's something to consider in here. Okay, and yeah, what doesn't really work as a short can eventually work as a long, and one of the main reasons is actually sometimes wherever this low is reacting from in here. Now, one aspect that I actually didn't really pay attention to when I shared that tweet is in the lower time frame. If you get in here, price actually had already reacted from, where are we? This is oh, come on, give me. Okay, so this is the extreme. I think even on the on MT4, I think it's even better. Yeah, in one of the datas, for some reason, the price, I think, already had spiked in reality, was moving down. It already spiked from here, or really close to this level, and then it moved lower. Okay, that was something that you could see, especially I think on 1 minute time frame. There was kind of a spike already really close to the same line as this level, which in reality on the way down it had already taken the level, at least on the lower time frame, not exactly on 1 hour or 4 hour. That looked like it was still fresh in here. But on the lower time frame, it was actually already spiked, and then price just continued to move forward. So in reality, the orders that we were looking for, they were actually not there anymore in this particular case in there. And then what did you have, right? Then it's just a continuation to the upside in here, right? So now we have price still reacting from this level, but then it still respects this zone in here again. So another aspect that I actually mentioned yesterday on the tweet, replying to the last week's tweet, is that yes, these levels can still work. What we just need to take into consideration at this point, again, because this never broke the lows, is the expectation of the target at this point. Like maybe looking for price to make something like this, it wouldn't be that valid anymore, but you can still maybe look for some kind of opportunity in here for a short, for example. That's actually a good level because we actually kind of started to respect a little bit this level in here. So we have basically all this compression here, and look at what happened here. We actually managed to break the low, which starts opening the door to go. If you have this range, basically from a little bit of this demand zone towards those sides, we already have a break in here, which opens the door towards this wall. Price never got there. So it ends up being kind of a good target in there as well eventually when you turn. And then either kind of respect it or respect it to go higher or even to breaks, then okay, we can change that dynamic. But in this particular case, it actually ended up working exactly as, again, based on what this wall did in here with respect to the level in there. And then another aspect is if we actually expand this a bit more, and that will be the second level that you're looking for the short, right? Or that initially you consider it was a good level to look for a short, but look what happens as well in here, right? And this is why it's so important. Then keep tracking if you want to in here. Okay, so we actually have then this level that now becomes a little bit of a support resistance level in here, and we have a demand zone that is created exactly in alignment with the break in there. And what we have in here, right, you just expand this level and kind of a little bit in alignment with the supply that was created around this level, which is that one in there. We have our reaction. Okay, so as you can see, there were still orders in there. Of course, it's kind of what we're looking for, and price reacted from it in here. Let's just check 1 minute time frame just to give it a bit more of an idea. There you go, it reacted, right? By any chance, if you're looking for a sell, that would be our sell in here. Okay, it reacted. Maybe even have some kind of confirmation, whatever it may be, and you can look for a sell. But this is the question: where is your target? It's just this level. Okay, at this point. Initially, as I mentioned, we could have seen like this never confirmed it, so it never happened, and therefore your target is just the next level, which is this level. Test this level, which is with the demand zone, and until we actually now start breaking this level, there's actually no point in looking for bigger shorts than that, and we even have straight away next zone in there. But this now becomes a good level to take into consideration as price continues then to move upwards. And there you go. And the last point that I wanted to mention about this one is exactly what happened in there, what I mentioned before, that if it doesn't really work, again, it's still respected, but didn't really match the bigger opportunity that could be there, which is this big move. Therefore, again, what doesn't really work as a short eventually can work as your long opportunity in here. Okay, so no surprise actually where this low actually it ends up reacting from in alignment to that level that didn't really work that much as a short. Okay, so there you go, the dynamic of where the orders are in between these ranges in here. Yep. After that, this is where what I wanted to mention in regards to the NFP. Can start deleting some of this stuff in here. Okay, and this is basically what I can start looking for. Can't even go all the way there. And this is what I mentioned in regards to the NFP, where we had our first engulf down during the news. Okay, and then you have, there you go, this is which breaks this low, the low that actually was reacting from that level, and all of a sudden we have eventually the reversal in here. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly what we had. We had initially kind of a little bit of the pattern starts to be created in here as well. We may have a little bit of a break below this level, which reacted from that valid level in there, and then you have a little bit of a turn. Price respected basically already all those levels. It moved down. We have the fake out, and the rest is history. In here, like this is actually where I got short yesterday, somewhere in there. At least I got filled on this one. I didn't get filled on the NASDAQ one. yeah, and you start literally opening the door in here. Again, my target was not that great. I think I closed it somewhere around this level, and in reality we already had a low being broken in here. And this is where now starts the prediction for next week, and in regards to the CPI as well, which starts to print quite a kind of starts to show really good reversal patterns in here. Okay, anytime it kind of breaks a high, it retraces. It starts to retrace. Like, it's not really sustaining the move to the upside, kind of just break and create another big momentum. No, it starts to break lows. It starts to showing some weakness, but we still haven't had a big break of a low. Okay, we haven't really had a big break of a low just yet at this point, at least on S&P. On the Dow, I think we did. On the NASDAQ, we may have kind of a break of a good structure, which still needs to be broken again, in my opinion. But this is definitely something that we can start tracking, and we open up this range once again, maybe just considering this low all the way until there. And there's definitely, again, it's going to be the same story as last week. There's definitely still orders in here. This is another good manipulation, another really good reversal pattern that's going on inside this level, but we do need to see these lows starting to be broken to actually start looking for a bigger move. And then all of a sudden, of course, there's still this level in here. There's maybe something even underneath that low, but if you start actually getting closer to this level, all of a sudden everything in here is compressed all the way till there. Basically, again, some reactions to expect from there, and all of a sudden we are looking for here. But there's still a long way to go until there, and definitely this low is an important one as well. Kind of this structure from last week in here. Okay, but yeah, there all of a sudden we could eventually go all the way there, but again, still many things to happen before that in here. All right, so let's take a look into the lower time frame there. Right, so basically I have a little bit of a gap between this level and that level. Okay, we can actually delete this one, and definitely basically the level where I got short already yesterday. If price does retest there, that I will definitely be looking for another short as well once again. Okay, so that's definitely something that I will be paying attention to. I got short somewhere in here if not mistaken. Then price confirm with the break of that low, and then yeah, so that in here is still valid. We have a little bit of a gap between this level and that level. That price eventually can go towards to price already. Wait, what am I doing? So price already retested this supply zone, and yeah, I'll be looking for those shorts. When would I like to see that? Either one of the two scenarios can happen. As long as price doesn't really touch close to this level. If price retraces right now to the upside, I'll still be looking for a short, looking for at least fill this space in here. If price already reacts from here, it kind of repeats the same thing as last week, and a little bit of a concern. For example, maybe price could react from here. It could go maybe just once again towards this level, and then finally break it and still leave this level behind. That could be one scenario in there. Otherwise, if price again still respects this level, I will need a really weak PA on the approach, a lot of lows being broken, or a clear kind of double top being created in here for then price to just create that manipulation and reverse from here. So that's kind of a little bit of what I would like to see. But at this point, yes, I'm going to be looking for shorts still at the highs in there on the S&P. That's for sure. Yeah, there is no past data, like, and that's another aspect that we have been talking about, how to deal with all-time highs, like, which again, as you can see, it's starting to become a pattern in different assets. Now we are in gold. It's the same situation. We had the indices like between DAX, S&P, Dow, NASDAQ. Now have gold, and of course Bitcoin, which is again Bitcoin. I'm not going to get nowhere near close any sales at this point. I'm not going to be involved on that. Let them decide which price level they agree open on until I even consider anything in there. Again, it may look stupid, like we are in complete bullish momentum, and I'll consider my mind still works as a reversals, and it requires a lot of patience. It requires literally to wait and wait to see weakness on price to attack, or kind of to look for that execution, and it also it's necessary to have these rules in place. Like if this will be a rule that I have in place, even if you have something on the left side, okay, imagine that if price by any chance was actually reacting from a really good level on the left side, maybe I will still look for a sell even from the sell kind of at the highs, even if you have managed to respect this rule, even though I'll be with a big question mark in there. Not being anything on the left and basically all-time highs, then I would literally just skip it. I'll skip it, and if price by any chance reacts from here and go all the way down, then and as soon as you kind of break this low, then I'll be looking for the next opportunity, whatever it may be, in there, or until price maybe breaks a key level in here that okay, maybe price actually wants to start moving lower, whatever. Right, but again, it's quite tricky. I've been mentioning exactly how to trade this type of opportunities. This type of opportunities on as at all-time highs. Just look for some weakness, as I mentioned. Wait for price to break some lows. Wait for the manipulation, and then you can try to look for some kind of shorts. If you are looking for reversals in there, but you do need to be quite conservative with your target. Don't look for a big reversal without properly price showing that it wants to do that. It may just be a retracement before again a new all-time highs. Hey man, you want to look at gold? I'm not really sure what to tell on gold, man. It's just going higher. What can we say in here? Where is gold? Like, what's your prediction on gold? I don't like. It's all-time highs, man. What can you say about gold? It's exactly what I just mentioned now on the S&P, NASDAQ, and so on. You can look for weakness. You can look a little bit for some reversals. You can look for fresh demand zones that are there, with price maybe manipulating some of the lows. Like you can look for maybe something like this, and then price may retrace. Again, it depends if you are looking for intraday setups or more for long positions. Yeah, look like even with the NFP and a good retracement all the way to the extreme. Like look for extremes if you're looking for more continuation. Is this the final high? Most likely not. Are we starting to show a little bit of weakness? Not exactly. This level respected quite nicely. We do have maybe a little bit of this range now that you can maybe play with, but this maybe is the next level already, and somewhere in there. Like I'm not really be looking for sales in there. Yeah, just where it. Again, I don't know. Are you looking for long, short? Like, what's your style of trading? I don't even know. Yeah, like you need to first of all know really well what style of trading do you have and what you are looking for, and then kind of look for those opportunities around that, and try to understand exactly what the market is also the way the market is behaving to, and if it's even providing those opportunities or not in here. Yeah, because again, gold is again, it's all-time highs, man. It's what can we say? Eventually it's going to show some weakness, and eventually you can maybe look for a little bit of retracement, and then maybe go long again if that's your bias. Yeah, not really sure. So yes, that's S&P. NASDAQ is basically same story. Okay, it was the same thing in regards to the low that we mentioned. There was no break to the downside, so never happened. And then you're looking for maybe 2-3 levels. Initially, when this level was created, we looked as a potential retracement in here, then maybe a little bit in there, and maybe something at the extreme in there, right? And again, NASDAQ, it was even a little bit different because it managed to create that double top, which is actually great because it's going to attract even more sellers into here, and then all of a sudden we have the fake out happening as well, right? So it was quite an interesting PI that happened all around NASDAQ. Again, that fresh supply, it was still fresh, as you can see. The origin of the move, this has never reacted from it. So I had the reaction. Price, again, as you can see, same thing with the S&P. It reacted basically to the demand zone in alignment with that level. There's no break to the downside up until this point, and then we start going once again, trying to challenge, and then we have that initial move down with the NFP, another test in there, and then we finally have the reversal. This is actually where I tried to get short as well. In here, but price kind of missed my level. In here, I was looking for one of those highs actually to make that that move in there, which we kind of fake out. Never really got filled in there. Yeah, I got one on S&P. I didn't really got the one on NASDAQ in there. Now, if you actually take into consideration what I just mentioned also before, is there any good level still to look for shorts? 100%. Like whenever price comes back in here, can still be a good level to look for another short. Now the question or the situation remains the same. Price does need to start breaking these lows in here. Okay, if you want to see more bearish signs in here, which again starts to become quite interesting. NASDAQ, same thing, with a little bit of a range, nice liquidities being collected. This is the low that I mentioned that NASDAQ may have already created below a structure, which was this one. I could still already see this one as a little bit of a weakness in here, even though price respected it last week, but it's a bit weaker, which means that eventually it started to show more indication that it may break. This level in here, it was still valid. Okay, that low. But yes, we eventually can open the door to go all the way to the next zone in here. Okay, so we'll see next week, and CPI can be a big factor. This is where the CPI comes into place. The last two data on CPI, it's been a bit higher than expected, or not as low as expected. And if that happens once again, that can be another big sell-off. We had the big sell-off on the CPI in here, okay, 1 month ago, middle of February. 13th of February, something like that. So noticing how, again, where price is going to be by Tuesday when you have the CPI, that's going to be interesting. One point as well to mention is the hour is going to change in North America, like in Canada and in the US. So everything's going to be 1 hour early in regards to the US. So just bear in mind that aspect as well. Like the big news are going to be at 12:30. The US Open is going to be at 1:30 UK time, and the closing house is going to be 1 hour early as well. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. That's going to last throughout the rest of the month of March until finally the hour changes in the Eurozone. Yeah, it's the same thing. I actually like that level already. We do have maybe the extreme of the extreme that I never really got filled, so that's one of them. And we have then the other one that is created, and it's literally in alignment with the other lows, which is basically this supply level in here that initiated this move down. So that's definitely a level also to pay attention to, that price can react from. This level is already reacted from. Now we have that one still, and yeah. So eventually we can have a little bit of a retracement. I'm looking for that to happen. Price already kind of compressed a little bit in here. Yeah, the extremes definitely is going to be quite interesting. Yeah, that again, as I mentioned, eventually I would like to see this being taken, and we may start opening a bit more of a bearish move in here. Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. Do you take entries around the news whenever set up? I can trade the news. Actually, the news are quite nice. I can do a full session, not a full session. I will make a video. I did already last year. I already talked about it, one of the streams for sure about it. But I will do one, because I did a webinar also about that, how to trade the news, or when I try to look for the entries with the news. Just in short, like if I'm about to trade the news, which I do like to do it, NFP, CPIs and stuff like that, FOMCs and like interest rate decisions are different. I like to trade interest rate decisions during the press conference, not before, not when the interest rate is about to be announced. I like let the market create that manipulation. Sometimes actually you get a great clue with that first move of, again, where the direction might go after then the press conference starts. Also, there is a different timings of when to expect the market actually to move. Is it during while they are reading their own statement, or is going to be during the Q&A session? Right? There are also different moments in there to expect price to find a return or gain momentum. But if I'm about to trade just the news like NFP, CPIs or something like that, I like to be involved on the trade like half an hour before the news, or maybe 20 minutes before the news. Like, as if in case I'm already looking for price to, if I have the bias that maybe price wants to go down, I want to start seeing that PA happening. Again, I want to see price getting to the level that I'm interested in selling maybe 45 minutes before, or maybe half an hour before, and then eventually during that half an hour I'm already found some PA and I'm already in. Basically 20 minutes before the news, where during those 20 minutes there's maybe already an initial move in my direction where I can get out with the first target. So I'm basically covered already with T1, and then I kind of gamble in parentheses the second one, like but especially if you already broke some lows, then the tendency is actually for price to go in your direction. Hopefully you survive whatever spread is going to open or not. But if I'm about to do that, I'm going to be in the trade like 20 minutes, half an hour before the news. Like just a few minutes before the news, I'm not trading that. And then is the second phase, which is let price maybe move, maybe for the past, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and then eventually, if you think that price is going to reverse, then you can look for that reversal. If it sweeps, kind of, you mean the spread, if it opens. Yeah, that's why I like to already be into the news. Like, and I'm not really getting filled. I'm not getting filled exactly on the moment of the news in there. Of course, it happened, getting slightly stopped out. Like, you don't even see the bid price touching the level. It was maybe the ask that actually went there to take my stop out, and then price dropped. Like, if you're just looking at the chart itself, you don't really see a candle touching my stop loss. Of course, I've been part of that. It happened, and then all of a sudden, just literally see price doing that. It's trading, like, it is what it is. But in general, I like to trade news, being involved already like 20 minutes before at least. Like 10 minutes, I'm not really being part of it. If I'm not positioned, if I'm not in the trade like 15 minutes before, I'm just waiting. And then either really good bias and a good indication that I'm correct on the bias. Like, I need to see a proper break of a low, a proper something, compression. Like, a great clue is if you have strong compression, that's a great clue. You're going to look at the pound. Like, what pound did in the last basically 1 minute before the news, or 2 minutes, where it started to rally, while the dollar was actually at the supply level. That was a great clue, to be honest. Looking for expecting price actually to go down in the first instance of the move, like in the first reaction, to actually expect price to go down. Like, it looked like the pound, as you look at it in a bit, it was just arriving to look for those sell orders. I was like, literally just before the news, it just literally a strong bearish, a bullish candle, just looking for those sell orders until kind of it just crashed. While the euro, for example, was actually at a really great supply level, created with around the London, the US Open, the London Open for the day. That was kind of a good example. So yes, we had the initial reaction down, but then price eventually carry on moving higher, which was also something that you were looking for in here. So yeah, NASDAQ, that's another one. This is more NASDAQ, kind of, yeah, this is actually the other chart that I have. And the Dow. Like, Dow continues to be the same thing in here. It's a bit more in the range comparing with the other two. Again, I still like the highs. This is still the range. Price got really cool. Again, it kind of respected the lower edge of the range. Okay, this is the demand zone. It was reacted in there. Since then, price is moving upwards. But this is one of the engulfs down that I mentioned that, in my opinion, Dow may has already started to provide that information. So that's why I'm starting to, well, I've been a bit more bearish on the Dow comparing with S&P and NASDAQ, at least in the bigger picture, for a potential bigger retracement or reversal in here, which we can also look for a potential retest to the, I don't have data in here. This one at least. Okay, which may take us into retest the previous high as well. Is this at all? Yeah. Yeah, at least closer to that level. Like, so again, it's going to be another one to pay attention to. Personally, I don't know why I created it. Like, this feed got this big gap, so I was looking for something else for other feeds. Yeah, so I'm going to be still paying attention to this level in particular, to that one. And if you fake out by any chance one more time the highs, even better, right? It's totally okay. And then I'll be carry on looking for the reversals in there. And look at trend lines. It's funny how it's working in here. Just funny. And then DAX, right? DAX is the one that I've been looking for shorts. So that was also the week before this one that I was looking for a short in there. Never really got filled, and then kind of cancel it. And then I carry on looking for more bearish signs, especially with this low. This low made me look for that potential setup that is happening actually right now in here. But then we had this last low in here, which may invalidate a little bit this bearish sign in here, because this one actually touched that level, while the one in the middle never really touched that zone in here. Again, bigger picture may still be an engulf down, maybe price still wants to turn. It's just something that I'll be carry on looking for. Again, that pattern that we've been looking for, it starts to develop in here, and we talked about that as well. So kind of start to break those lows. We have the fake out, we have the retest first of this level, and then price went up, created a new fake out, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Unfortunately for me, price, again, it reacted from the base of this level in here, so that's a valid level. I was looking for price at least to go slightly higher, and then I have the other extreme in there, which it will be even a better entry, which is still fresh in there. Yeah, so meanwhile, I can still see the scenario where DAX can retrace all the way, fake out this high, and from here moving lower. I could still see that scenario happening, and it's something that I'm going to be looking for. This would have been definitely one target to consider, this previous level support resistance, really nice touch in there. So by any chance, if you're short, this would be definitely a good level to take at least some profits out. From here, price could actually just carry on moving higher, and then yes. Wait, what am I doing in here? Yeah, and then you could definitely maybe just continue to move lower. If this level continues to go, then you break this level, and all of a sudden we have already a few lows being broken on the way, and then you can start opening the door for a bigger move to downside. But I like this pattern. This is a really nice reversal. This is what our prediction during the week for what we were looking for. We're no longer interested in selling at the highs. We're actually looking for price to break the highs and then provide us with a new bearish PI to look for the sell in there. So again, we'll see what may happen on the DAX next week, but it's going to be one to keep an eye on as well, for sure, in here. Yeah, and then finally, let's get into the individual currency pairs. All right, guys, by the way, if you are new and if you haven't subscribed, come on, subscribe to the channel. Also share. There are, as you can see, I share some, not just analysis, but also some educational content in here on how to trade maybe specific markets, specific aspects of the market, and yeah, so feel free to share with anyone that you know that is interested in trading as well. So the euro, right? So the euro finally moved away from this range, and you're looking for price to at least to feel this compression, and price got basically close to the last supply in there. Okay, so it filled the compression, reacted from the last extreme in here, which basically next thing it will be to break the compression in there, and we were looking for those moves to the upside. Okay, that's what we were looking for around this level, either with the ECB press conference. So we had broken that high already during the ECB, and then we carry on looking for longs, actually a nice reaction from that level. So that's something to bear in mind, and then prices continue to move move higher. So we broke into the compression, we retraced, and then we filled the compression all the way until there. Even with the FOMC, with the NFP, there you go, the spike go, and this is where actually the euro was reacting from, that I mentioned. It was reacting from the supply in here. It reacted from there, spiked down into that level. That was basically the previous break of the high, and we just continue to move higher in here. Now, just similar to the dollar index, I could still continue to see euro dollar maybe moving a bit higher. Again, it closed the gap, so the gap is closed, doesn't really need to go higher, but personally I would still like to see this euro dollar getting a little bit maybe closer to this level before actually aiming for a bigger sell in here. Okay, so again, we have been trading within this big range for a long time, and there you go, we finally had momentum, which may continue next week. We're going to pay attention to see what can happen in here. Yeah, so now it's a bit yeah, we'll see what's going to happen on the euro in here. And then you have the pound, which finally again moved away from that level as well, and you're looking then eventually for price to fill out of it. This was, in our opinion, all this time was that this high had already broken within this compression, and you wanted to see that being broken. Price respected once again perfectly this demand zone, and since price respected that level, we eventually were looking for price to carry on breaking highs. And this is what I mentioned, like trading this when you mentioned about rangings and liquidities. Yeah, I'm not really interested in trading this, like, so I skip all of this. This is not attractive to me. But yes, in general, pound dollar finally moved away. We also start tracking all of this. We broke finally the momentum to the upside. Again, this is one of those levels that it could go down. This is a valid supply level, but the opposite happened, right? We actually had a great breakaway from here to the upside, and you created this small gap in here. Meanwhile, again, pound just moving higher, and now we'll see what's going to happen as well. It's an okay zone. Again, we feel this compression. Eventually, I would even like to see pound getting even closer in there, but we'll see what's going to happen. Next week is going to be busy for the pound with some news, again, unemployment, and maybe GDP, retail sales, maybe like a lot of news in the pound, in the UK, to be announced next week in there. So yeah, it may start to get interesting once again to trade in here. Yeah, it finally may start getting into my radar, which it hasn't been throughout this year. Euro pound, as you can see, it's basically a same mess for many weeks in a row, and we actually finally may be close to break. Now that the pound dollar finally moved to the upside, we may be getting closer to continue in here, right? So price kept respecting this level, not really managing to break. We were looking for price to break one more time, decides to start getting the momentum. It never did, and we may finally now break these lows in here that we also have been looking for a while, to finally maybe break below this level. And I'm curious to see how price may react actually within this demand zone in here. So from here we may have finally a bigger turn, which maybe take pound dollar to move lower, who knows. But yes, that's something that I will be definitely paying attention to on the euro pound. Might it break these lows and might get closer to this level, and with some valid PA maybe we can have a turn in here. Yeah, we will see. And then the other currency pairs, and this is actually why it's actually so important to, in my opinion, to keep an eye on a broader range of a portfolio instead of just a couple of pairs, because we had great moves on the Aussie pairs, on the CAD pairs, on the yen pairs, across basically not just the Aussie dollar, but again, Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, Euro CAD, Pound CAD, Dollar CAD, Euro Yen, Pound Yen, Dollar Yen, and so on and so forth. Like, so we had the rally on the Aussie in here, and because of that, we saw the big sell-off on the Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, and so on. And an interesting one, which we're going to look in a bit, it was the Aussie yen, right? Actually, we can take a look into now. Because last week we mentioned that Aussie yen was one of the best assets to actually short when looking at the yen pairs. Okay, and the reason for that was because we're starting to see that strength on the yen index, and which eventually takes us this yen pairs to the downside, but also because the Aussie pairs were actually showing a lot of weakness. Therefore, a strong yen with a weak Aussie, it's going to take this Aussie yen to the downside. But this week we had continuation of the yen index to the upside, but we had also a strong Aussie, like, and all of a sudden it creates this range. Like, it doesn't really create a momentum. So this week, for example, shorting or looking for when looking at the yen pairs, looking at the Aussie yen for the short, it wouldn't maybe be the best choice. It would be maybe better off to look for example, dollar yen, that you finally have the dollar moving lower. We had a weak dollar and we had a strong yen, and all of a sudden we have dollar yen just crashing. Right, and we had that move also a little bit on the euro yen, pound yen, even though kind of not so with so much momentum comparing with dollar yen. Like, again, this is where correlation places in place and the opportunities that you may try to look for. Nevertheless, we are still looking for this one to continue to move to the downside. In my opinion, price just paused a little bit in here to find some kind of retracement before continues to move lower, and we are looking for price to continue to move to the downside. And eventually, if it gets closer to the highs, it's another opportunity maybe to look for a new sell. Okay, we are still within that good level. We fake out all those big highs in the higher time frame, and yeah, from here you can still eventually look for price to retrace that. But for now, price can just continue from here. So that's Aussie yen. Aussie dollar. Yep, so we finally ran away from this level. It respected these lows, and we are getting into the next structure, which again, no surprises with the reaction, but this may be just a retracement before this Aussie dollar resumes the move to the upside, which could again maybe take another leg down on the dollar in here. So yeah, let's take a look how this Aussie dollar may react from here. For now, kind of a little bit of a retracement. And let's see if this is kind of just a retracement to continue or not, which could happen in here. So yeah, let's take a look into that as well. It can provide. Then Euro Aussie, it finally moved away from this range. It got closer to the extremes. So we mentioned basically 4 extremes that we're looking for: 1, 2, and 3, and basically 4. And that's it. Anything in between, we skipped it, and then it's just literally wait for the price. Price got really close to that, and you can see a really good reaction straight away. In a week, it was just printing lows in here. Really good move on the Euro Aussie. In here, it was one of the best trades of one of our traders. In here, it got really nice the top in there. And Pound Aussie, same thing as well. In here, move to downside, we fake out the highs, something that you mentioned as well. Good PI in here, and the move to downside. And now it actually reacted from again closer to this fresh demand zone, which was actually quite obvious in there. Everything else kind of compressed. That's one that was still fresh, and you'll see again, bigger picture, we haven't still yet broken these lows, which means that Pound Aussie can still carry on going higher eventually, and in my opinion may have broken actually into this compression. So that wouldn't be a surprise if Pound Aussie eventually gets closer to this level, 1.96 something. But we may have a little bit of a retracement first, and maybe even going below these lows, maybe reacting from here, could be a good trend continuation setup to look for in here. Okay, so yeah, paying attention to those highs can be interesting, even maybe just the buys of this level. So bigger picture, yes, maybe looking for price to eventually to get there. A bit more in the lower time frame, there's maybe some opportunities in here to look for. Yeah, that's Pound Aussie in there. And yeah, let's take a look at the end pairs, right? And a big sell-off in here, right? Because you can see, there you go, the big dollar yen survive these highs. Again, I was looking for that final fake out into that level or even the extreme. Prices respected this supply after breaking this low. That was for us an engulf down, and there you go. Prices kept respecting it. Fair enough. But as you can see, again, with the negative, kind of the bearish dollar and the strong yen index, this was literally just a pure sell-off on the dollar yen getting closer to this level, which is going to be, again, the yen index may have not yet finished this big momentum or this big volatility. There's maybe a shift of finally on the financial policy that they are looking for, with finally stopping with the negative interest rates in the yen. Okay, the CPI is quite high and doesn't really look like it's stopping. We had another CPI printing announcement last week. It was high. The average earning is still high as well, and the negotiations that are going on, even with small companies and everything, it looks like that's going to continue to increase until the end of the year, which can continue to force inflation to go higher, and it's starting to create a lot of pressure, which finally we have a shift in the monetary policy in Japan, stopping the negative interest rates. Question mark is when that's going to happen, but that's going to create a lot of volatility and maybe a shift in here, and you finally have the yen index moving to the upside, which, by the way, we never really haven't looked at it. And just realized that. Yeah, I just realized that we skipped this level, the yen index. Right, so we had that momentum to the upside in here on the yen index. Again, it may open the door to go all the way still until there. Price respected really nicely the lower edge of this bigger rectangle in there and continues to go higher. Eventually can retrace a little bit more, can maybe retest this demand zone, or can just continue to go slightly higher and maybe use this demand zone one more time to look for longs. Okay, may even have a little bit of manipulation, continue to go higher, and eventually manipulate whatever low is going to be created in here and still respecting that level, or can even go there eventually. But at this point, yeah, maybe a little bit of reaction in here, but then we can start looking for this yen index to may go higher. Okay, so at this point, this survived. We mentioned about it that the yen index does like to create a little bit of kind of trend lines compressions before turns, just like it happened last November. In here it's kind of the same thing, a lot of it, and then another one, and there you go, we have the break from here. So again, the yen index, this was a pair that we have been talking about for the last few weeks, anticipating this big turn, and it's happening. Okay, sometimes it's literally looking for the high probability setups of where price is showing so much weakness, and also the pressure to start turning in here. And then the euro index, something that we didn't mention as well, it was, we finally managed to break above this high. That was something that we were looking for, and the price got closer into that level, and you're looking a little bit for a correction on the euro index. One of the reasons for that is also the compression that prices was creating. Start to print a little bit of this level. We have the fake out, and we had that initial break with the ECB, and then the retest basically reacted from one of the last demand zones in there, respected the supply, and then another move down with the NFP. Okay, and maybe you can have a bit more of a continuation in here. Now, bigger picture, again, it's the same story. Bigger picture, you may actually start showing indication that you want to go higher, but in the lower time frame, you may have a little bit more of a retracement, maybe in here, who knows, before maybe continue to move higher in here. Okay, so that's another one to look for in here. Yeah, with the euro index. So let's go back now to the charts. Yeah, so this is dollar yen. Again, I'm curious to see how price may react from here. If it shows any kind of signs of a little bit of reversal, maybe can have a little bit of retracement in here. Otherwise, if you break below this level, start opening door to go a bit more further down. Maybe some reaction still from here after breaking. Again, I'm expecting price to either react from here, or if breaks this low, to have some kind of reaction to the upside, with some retracement before maybe continue to move forward. Right? I'm not expecting just the variant to move like this in here. So that's something to keep an eye on the dollar yen. Again, with the news, it kind of spiked a little bit upwards, kind of retested this level, and then it can go there as well in here. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind in here. And then the euro yen and the pound yen. Like euro yen, I did mention last week that I was looking for that short in here. The price never really got there. We had our first break to the downside. We broke below these levels, retested a little bit this structure, but this was kind of a proper engulf down, and we are reacting from a good level on the left side as well. Then yes, there you go, on Monday in the evening or something like that, price finally got to the level that was still fresh, and it starts moving lower in here. And there you go, the rest is history, right? Yeah, the rest is basically history. Again, the way price moved away, compressed a little bit, and then finally we had a big sell-off in here with some news in the overnight in Japan, and there you go. That was actually the news that it was mentioned for the first time that the government the government of Japan mentioned that you may be thinking about stopping with the negative interest rates, and there you go. The reaction on the yen pairs move lower again. This was the initial compression. It was based on this low all the way until here. You can see there's basically a separation between this structure and kind of where the next one starts. So that was the beginning of that compression. That was one of the targets that we were looking for any sales in here, or at least expecting price to fill this range. It filled, it respected still the demand zone. Beautiful reaction, but at this point I'm looking actually for price to continue to move lower and maybe getting a bit closer to that, to that level. So this is another one that we were looking for. Again, just taking into consideration the yen index, then looking at the yen pairs, trying to find one that may be providing the best opportunity. And this is how you build up high probability setups and reversals as well. Okay, it may take a few weeks, it may take a few days to develop, show the weakness. Price needs to again create that range, that manipulation, and you can see exactly the type of pattern that happened in here. So no surprise with that as well. Yeah, at this point, let it maybe move down a little bit more, and then when it gets closer, maybe towards these levels, we'll see if by any chance price just wants to go higher instead. Then we'll see what kind of opportunities we are going to have in there. Like basically, again, at this point, we have been talking about the euro yen for so many times these last couple of weeks or 3 weeks. The move is done. Right now, it's about waiting to see what's going to happen next. Like the shorts, they are done. Like the reversal, it happened. The yen index, it happened. Now it's about waiting. Okay, now it's about maybe looking for maybe some continuation setups, but they are a different type of setups at this point. The reversal, it's gone at this point. Right, that's why now I don't have the strongest bias at this point on what to expect on the euro yen. I had a strong bias when price was in here. Now it's just kind of wait and see what price may provide. Same thing with the pound CAD. Okay, same thing with the pound CAD. Same story. The same supply was there, fresh. This size never reacted for me. We again go back 1 week ago, and that's exactly what I mentioned. Meanwhile, price basically rally all the way. It just went there, collect those orders, and it's gone once again as well, moving lower in here. So yeah, respect a little bit this demand zone, and eventually we may continue to move lower. At this particular point, one of the main differences is that euro yen actually reacted really nicely from another high on the left. Pound yen is not really exactly reacting at this point from it's reacting from a major one, but it's a major one that can still actually go a bit more to the upside. Okay, we may go somewhere in there as well before maybe moving or having the biggest reversal in here. Okay, so there's maybe a bit more potential moving higher in here on the pound yen that maybe on the euro yen. And if you continue to see a bit more strong pound, maybe that can also help in here. Okay, so that's just something to take into consideration in here. At this point, price has been spiked so many times at the highs that if by any chance price comes back into here, I'm not really looking for price to respect this highs one more time. Maybe the last level is to be somewhere in here. Aside from that, looking for actually now price to fake out the double top, and we'll see what happens next. If it just creates momentum to the upside, or if we have again that reversal, and eventually price can provide another sell opportunity after that. Right, but again, up until this point, there's maybe more, a bit more shorts in here. Yeah, to look for. And then we have the CAD pairs. Okay, and this is what we have on the CAD. Okay, so with the interest rate decision on Wednesday, you finally had the move to the downside. Like, and this is actually one of the questions that you asked me, so if I'm not mistaken. Like, you're considering what longs from here or from this level, I'm not really sure. But yeah, so this was the range, right? And we have been looking at this range for a long time. Meanwhile, price got close to that level, never really touched it, and all of a sudden it starts to touch in here, and it spends basically a full week from the 28th of February all the way until the 6th of March, right? So it spends a full week around this level in here, right? Again, that's what I mentioned, that sometimes, yeah, with so many touches in here, I lose my interest on this move, even though we may have maybe PI in here, and this may have been actually good confirmation. We have a move down, retest, and then the sell-off on the day of the news. So that could have actually been a potential short. Actually, I like the supply in here, but as I mentioned, I stopped actually paying attention on the pound card. If I see price spending so much time in there, I actually looked at the euro card and the pound card instead on the same day for shorts in there. So, but yes, price respected the extreme and it finally moved down. Like up until this point, like even considering to look for a long in here or something like that, I wouldn't really be looking for that personally. I think this already been compressed quite a while. This was one of the last lows that was still holding price up. After that, I think price is finally to kind of ready to finally go all the way closer maybe to these extremes in here. Even if you're looking for PI, I don't even consider this candle. This is the candle created with the market open, so I'm not even going to consider that one in there. So we have that reaction. Price starts reacting in here. Yeah, this tricky high could have been confused, looking for a I think upwards in there, but in reality, if we just look at this level, price just reacted this next structure in here, which in reality we were looking, I think Fade and myself, we're looking for price to get a bit deeper for the sell, to be honest. Yeah, I think we're looking for price to get a bit deeper, not just react the base of this level, but also getting a bit more into here, and for the sell, which again never happened. Price just kept respecting, yeah, looking for price to get a bit more into there. This is actually a valid supply, as you can see in the 1 minute time frame in there. So yeah, looking at this level as an engulf upwards, it could have been a bit not the best, to be honest. Yeah, and then just continuation to downside at this point. Like again, the momentum was created finally. Price accumulated so many orders in there, kind of spent so much time in here that eventually the momentum and not breaking the extreme, as I mentioned, kind of not breaking the extreme, it's kind of a strong bearish sign in this particular case, and after that it will be just a continuation in here. In addition to that, we also start noticing the dollar moving to the downside, so it was finally in alignment with the dollar CAD as well. So even expecting a bit more down move on the CAD was a little bit more of the bias, and in reality don't really have a proper reversal PI in here, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really have it. We actually start having it's more PI to move to the downside as price keeps moving from here. Yeah, and then we finally start having that PI at the lows, right? So we finally went all the way, we fill the range, and we break below this level, and there was maybe 2 zones in here that price could still, again, a few demand zones in here that's a bit fresh, being one of them. Okay, maybe this spike and then kind of that one in there. But the PI that we're looking for is more of this one, right? We start compress a little bit, we start showing indication here, and this is where I mentioned that PI of the NFP, it starts to be interesting, where we had that initial fake out, then kind of engulf, fake out, and price starts turning from there, and you can see how many touches now from that previous low. So that's an interesting one, and I'm curious to see how price may react around this level once again in here. But yes, after taking important lows, it's always a good level to look for some kind of retracement. Yeah, so yeah, that was pound card, not pound card, sorry, dollar card in here. Yep, that's kind of what it is. Euro card was the other one, which filled the range, right? So we started to look for potential reversals on the dollar card, on the euro card, sorry, after this big rally. So that was the first one. We fake out this high, or we engulfed this high in here into this compression zone. Price reacted a little bit from the supply in there, and we had the move down. Then price again naturally filled the compression, and it went to the extreme of the compression. That was another part that we looked for. And what do we start having is that this compression in here. Not this compression, this range in here, again the pattern. Price starts to show some bearish signs. We start breaking the low, and all of a sudden we have the fake out in here. And this is actually the moment on Wednesday where we could have looked for that sell opportunity in here. Okay, and we start breaking the lows as well, and even on the lower time frame. So you have a little bit of a, in the bigger time frame, range in here. And then you have the other one in the lower time frame actually at the highs, with price reacting from that level, the extreme of the compression on the other side. And then you have the sell-off happening in there. Okay, so again, this is in my opinion, the PA in here is a bit more, not a bit more, it's so much clearer comparing with the one that we had on the dollar card. In here, so that's the more of the pattern that I'm looking for. Is not so many highs in alignment like you had on the euro card. It's actually a few highs in alignment, but then you have the proper fake out into a good level, and then you have the turn in here. Okay, so that's more of what I'm looking for, and I'm curious actually to see now how price reacts from here. Either way, price actually reached the target, because the target was this low. Okay, it's basically to fill out this compression. We also could see all this strong compression, and there you go. Price just fill it. Now this highs never really reacted back into this level, which could have been another good short. So that's why price is reacting from it right now. But we never really managed to break below this low, which means that we may be just a continuation for this this euro card to continue to rally upwards. But this level in here can still be a potential level to look for some reaction. But yes, again, I'm not the bearish. Like I didn't really turn bearish in here because we never really managed to break this low. We actually just reacted from the extreme of it. Yes, this is another good example of maybe looking at sometimes at the minor pairs. You can actually provide a much better confirmation or entry or pattern to look for the trade instead sometimes of what the measures are doing in here. And then we have pound card, which was quite similar as well, even though it's already all the way there. Okay, pound card in this particular case, the initial sell opportunity, it was in there. That's on Wednesday. In here, again, it was a really nice fresh supply in there. This high never reacted from it. Price reacted from there, and then we had the turn in here. Okay, so we start. What do we have also in here? Like start having this range, then you have a break below it, then you have a big momentum upwards, and you have that turn happening in here as well. And then with the news, price just broke to the downside in here. But in general, this is actually kind of a more of a bullish move. As you can see in here, we actually have managed to break this high, and in theory, in my belief, we actually wanted to now take all of these highs in here and continue to go a bit more to the upside, and we can even take these highs and maybe react from here, maybe as the next level in there, and then who knows where are we going in here. But yes, initially on Wednesday it was a good turn. Then price kind of started reacting from something. It respected this demand zone, and since then it's been just bullish in here. Like again, that momentum to the upside, either on the pound and also on the cut. Again, when you do have both of them going in the same direction, that's when you have a big move in here. Yeah, nothing really much to talk about in here. Yep, so those pound pairs gaining momentum. And then we have dollar franc Swiss, which is another one that we talked about, where we had the initial break below it, then we look for that fake out, which carry on respecting that level. Again, I mentioned that I would like actually to see price breaking that level. It didn't, and there you go, another one. Like break below it, and then you have the fake out happening. And here we go again. Price respected, I mean, we're kind of just moving to downside. We managed to break this wall again, and eventually I would actually like to see, and this is another one that we've been talking about, potential retracement on the dollar franc Swiss. Again, maybe could have broken that first, didn't, just kept respecting it. Also this previous level, but it has been bullish or creating this momentum to the upside for a long time, and eventually it's about time to show some weakness. And yes, the weakness is starting to show. Start breaking lows, and there you go. Another high probability setup that we've been talking about in here. So we'll see if it's going to continue to rally, kind of to move forward or not from here. Yep, it's going to be an interesting one to track as well, and it can go in alignment with the dollar. Gold, we talked already about it. Just let it go. All-time highs. Again, this is another good example on gold. Okay, this is what we could have also anticipated. We have the break, or whatever break it was in there, and where this price goes to respects the lower edge. Doesn't break it, doesn't show weakness. Okay, it will fill the range, but never breaks the low. Expectation, new highs. Same story in here. Price goes, creates this high, it leaves this demand zone behind. Where this price goes to respects the demand, doesn't break it, doesn't show indication that wants to do this. Expectation, eventually new highs in here, and eventually as a consequence new highs of that as well, because nothing really was in there to hold price down anymore. Okay, so again, pay attention to where actually the lows are reacting from, and you can start creating the correct bias of maybe where price wants to go next in here, especially if you're looking for reversals. If you don't really have a break, then maybe forget about it at the extremes. Yeah, now it's just highs. There's not really much going on in there. So Rob, do you pay attention? Like, it's something that you pay attention to, kind of where price is reacting and where it's coming from. It's basically the same question. The three questions I ask myself, like, where is price coming from? What were the questions? Where is price coming from? Where the price wants to go, and where is price at the moment? That's basically the three questions. So where is price coming from? Price is literally coming from the demand zone, like it's literally coming from the lows in here. Where does price want to go? In this particular case, now it starts wanting to go maybe to fill all this range, initially to here, then after breaking that level, maybe a bit to there, and then to there. And then where is price at the moment? That's the question of, is there the timing to look for the entry right now? Like, if price is in here, that's maybe a good time to go for the entry. Is price now is in here after just breaking this highs, maybe it's not the right time to enter long. Maybe after price retraces this level, now maybe it's the right time to maybe look for a continuation on the test of this, like maybe same thing or whatever, right? So where is price at the moment is more about, is price in the right timing for you to look for that entry on the direction that you just replied from the previous two questions in there. Yeah, so gold again, I'm not going to really spend time in here. The last streams I already mentioned how I'm going to approach trading all-time highs with the perspective of looking for reversals, which you can just reverse engineer, and then that becomes your trend continuation in there. And then oil also just continues. And this is another one that we kind of were looking for. So we finally managed to break above these highs. We respected that next level, which is still fresh, and you carry on now respecting in here. This is the new range that we are looking. Okay, so that's basically the low that was created to push price higher, and we managed to break below that structure, and you start opening the door for price to actually go there. Meanwhile, we broke below this low, respected the extreme, fake out these highs, respect the extreme, move lower, respect the demand, go higher, respect the supply, go lower. And again, this low was already a good reaction from this fresh demand zone, which this low was never reacted from, but eventually maybe you can finally get to the final target after you manage to break this low, which is in here. And from here, we'll see if you're going to have a continuation, since we finally managed to break above these highs, or we're going to actually maybe have a deeper retracement, which can take us maybe into there, or who knows where, back into this level, and you're back into this range, right? Again, all this uncertainty is still in the Middle East. China's economy is still not really showing much growth. I think they're forecasting 5% growth for 2024. They are continuously trying to input stimulus into the economy. Hasn't really done that much of a positive impact. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen with oil, but it continues within this strong indecision. So you pay attention, that's the fundamental, right? Yeah, my brain works more in reversals. That's how I kind of look at it, and most of the reversals actually are more as a short. I may be a big fan of gravity apparently, but you can, like, one great exercise that you could do is just reverse engineer almost what I'm saying and look for the opposite as a long. Like if I mention that I want to see kind of that reversal pattern, if you're aware of it, you need to start being concerned when this reversal pattern starts to happen, that maybe it's no longer the time to look for maybe continuation for longs in here. Like when, especially maybe after the first break of a low, maybe you can even look for one last long, but after that, don't really get excited as soon as you see a high being broken, because you already have a break of a low. So don't really expect price to go to the moon after breaking this double top. There's a high probability that price actually can just retrace and come back into it, right? So even as a trend continuation trader, that's something that you need to be aware of. To hold on a little bit before now let maybe price actually completely retrace a little bit more, and wait now for these sellers to start showing some weakness, and then the buyers to get in, and now you actually get into a better price, and you can carry on looking for your momentum trades and trend continuation setups, whatever it may be that you're looking for, right? And yeah, then there is different type of opportunities. This week was great. If we look at EURUSD, if you're looking for a momentum setup, the momentum was created in here. Okay, you finally had momentum in here, and you could have looked maybe just for this small retracements and continuation in there as well. EuroCAD was a good example as well. We had such a strong compression that looking for that continuation could be, if that's what you want to look for, if that's your style of trading, in there. Yeah, that's basically it. And crypto, right? Did it reach 70? Yeah, it touched 70 BTC, and it moved lower and moved higher. Again, this was something that we were already looking for as well. As soon as the price would get to the highs, to expect some kind of manipulation, kind of shake off, to scare some of the traders, maybe take them out of their position, or who knows if there is anyone even considering selling the double top. I wouldn't really I wouldn't think that would be advisable, especially crypto, Bitcoin in this case. So yes, we had that kind of shake, a little bit of manipulation. It's another situation. Anytime you have a big sell-off, there's a high probability that price actually is going to come back, at least to retest the highs. Like it happened even the week before that, a big sell-off as well, which comparing with now the one that's happening last week it looks like just a small thing, but it was a big thing in a moment. Yes. So for the reversals to happen, they need some sustainability. Like they need to be built up into something. If it's just like this, there's a high chance that the same, it's kind of physics, right? The same way that you go down, this is almost the same way that you just jump back up in there. So if you actually want to properly reverse, that's when you need maybe that pattern, you need kind of liquidity, you need price to slowly start showing weakness. You need to price maybe to spend a little bit of time in here and go down and start doing stuff like that. If that's actually about to happen. Otherwise, it will be just another continuation in here. So personally, I'm not really like, many people may get scared after seeing something like this. This type of a move doesn't really make me scared in terms of big reversals. I'll be much more scared if I see a move with a bit more build up behind it for the reversal. That's when maybe we are getting closer to any kind of reverse. At this point, yeah, let's just let it run. What's next? Is it going to be now 70? It's going to be what, 80, 90, 100k? Of course, going to be a big round number mark whenever Bitcoin gets there. Just historically, again, something that I read as well or watched. Yeah, Bitcoin, when it breaks all-time highs after a while, it tends to double in price in the first 2 weeks, kind of the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if by any chance, if that's about to happen, then you'll be looking at Bitcoin at 100k, 120k in the next, maybe by April. Who knows if that's going to happen? Who knows? Looking at Bitcoin, yes, all-time highs, and we'll see how it's going to behave. We have Ethereum, which is lagging at this point, because if you are still thinking that Ethereum may go all the way to all-time highs as well, so it still has a little bit of a room to go in here, so can be reasonable to even look for longs as well on Ethereum at this point, maybe instead of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is unknown territory, right? It's anything that happens with all-time highs, but in particular Bitcoin, which is such a kind of a how do you call it, social media focus. Like many people online are kind of trades it and whatever, which everyone's going to be trying to look where it's going to be the next agreeable price that maybe the buyers and sellers are going to think, okay, maybe this is enough for now, maybe let's defend this level in here. So yeah, until we get there, we'll see. But at this point, Ethereum may be reasonable to continue to look for longs. So anytime maybe retrace can go. There are maybe a few levels in here. Maybe one of them actually can getting closer in there, and then the other one is maybe somewhere in there as well. So that will be something. Solana also just continues, which eventually going to get there as well. And the crypto total market also is lagging in comparison with BTC. So we have a little bit of this level, and then you have the extreme a bit more in there to look for. But yeah, that's what you have in here. This level can still be interesting now for a potential long whenever price maybe retracing here. And yeah, it's just a new asset that just got into all-time highs, and it's always tricky. Yeah, and that's basically it. Apple, yeah, Apple is reacting from there. That's what you were looking for as well. Like Apple had broken these lows. We initially broke those lows, respected the fresh supply in there, and then with the earnings, actually, where was the earnings? Yeah, somewhere in there. We managed to break below these lows in here. That was basically when it moved down, retested, kind of retraced a little bit, and finally reached the target. And target has been this level, and in reality, it can be even higher in here. Okay, so you can even aim for this 157, 160 eventually on Apple, but we first need to break below these lows in here. But yes, at this point, it reached the initial target in there that we also were looking for in here. Just share this one. Yeah, even the video as well, that was another one. This one continues to go higher. Tesla as well were bearish, and you're getting closer to that level. So that's another one. More moves. Yeah, and that's it, guys. Next week, another big week. I'm expecting more momentum, more continuation, and the indices are going to be on my radar 100% to see if you're going to have more weakness, and all of them between NASDAQ, S&P, even DAX as well. Yen pairs, it's going to be more of a continuation potential setup now that we are here. Alright, so the reversal, we predicted it, we looked at it, and now we are in a different phase of the move. So that's going to be also interesting to follow in there. And yeah, it's going to be it. Is it stuck? Oh, damn it. Oh, damn it. Now it's visible, right? Did you look at crypto? When did it get stuck? When I start looking at crypto? Thank you. Yeah, crypto and like kind of just repeat myself. Yeah, BTC was not visible yet. That's when I brought the trading view from MT4 trading view. Yeah, BTC just all-time highs. And the level that I mentioned that maybe still be reasonable. It may be somewhere in here. That can be a good continuation setup. Then we have Ethereum, which I mentioned that there's maybe a good chance to carry on looking for more longs, which price may get closer to there. Actually, where it's reacting now can be a little bit of retracement or then in there, but eventually, if you are looking for Ethereum also to break highs, so you still have at least all this room in here to go towards to. Maybe some zones in here to for a long. Maybe this can be reasonable as well, somewhere in there. So and more of the same as well, kind of continue. They had a big spike in here, retested the demand zone, and maybe looking for continuation to the upside. And then we have also total crypto market, which continues to go higher again. It's reacting from a good level at this point. Right? This can be one of those levels that can have a little bit of a retracement, maybe even a bit higher. And you start showing a little bit of a weak move in here. So this is what you want to see. Like actually want to start looking for these moves. What I mentioned before, also it was in regards to these big sell-offs. Like anytime I have a big sell-off, I'm not really concerned. Like, of course, it can be a bit scary, but there is a high probability that price will at least retest the highs. If they reach to move down, and I'll be a bit more concerned if it's actually we have a move to downside a bit more with some structure being created in alignment with it in here. Okay, that's a bit more of a concern, because then when price, even if price retraces, then there's a more levels in there that price can still hold in here. And then actually I was looking at some stocks, in this particular case Apple, that there was this break to the downside, which opened the door to literally go like this, even though these walls were already kind of a break of the structure as well. So that was already more bearish signs. Price respected perfectly the demand zone in there. And yeah, now it's respecting the demand, which is something that we're looking for. Also close the gap in here, and we'll see what happens next. But in the bigger picture, we may even go all the way towards this level in here, and maybe this level that I mentioned, 157.9, something like that, could be interesting. But we are reacting from a good level at this point. Yeah, Meta just continues, and Tesla was another one that we were kind of bearish. And price is getting now closer to this structure here, which is going to be quite interesting in there. The rising may just break, and we get closer into this level. So if it starts breaking everything, then it can open the door also for NASDAQ and so on to also drop in here. Of course, Nvidia is still the one that's holding everything. So whenever Nvidia also breaks, that's going to be interesting. But at this point, again, is quite high. even though it kind of moved to the downside yesterday, but it's still quite bullish at this point. Is there any trend line that people may be looking at? Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, and that's basically it. And then what I was saying is, in terms of next week, yen pair is going to be interesting. The indices are going to be interesting as well. To potential those shorts again. Let's see where CPI is going to be, and the dollar, which may finally continue to move. Do you swap levels? Swap levels, you mean like from support to resistance, from supply to demand? Is that what you mean, swap levels? Yeah, zone swap. Yeah, of course I look at it. It's a great level and an important level to look for. That price usually respects or reacts from. So of course I do look at it in there. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Again, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Many more news are coming, announcements as well. And yeah, the trading journal is almost completed, which I'm going to be releasing this month as well. So it's going to be quite interesting. It's mostly focused on performance and consistency. Okay, it's actually for you guys to look at your own trading. Stop looking around. Stop looking at what others are doing. Look at your own mistakes. Be accountable to yourselves and know exactly what aspects of your trading you need to work on. And this journal is going to tell you exactly that, as long as you are disciplined also to fill the journal along the way. Yeah, I'm going to be announcing interesting stuff in the next few weeks. Thank you guys. Have a good one. Thank you, Sarav, again. Have a nice weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Second, do you took technology? Can you rephrase your question? Sorry, Sarav. Do technology help to get? If I use technology to create that trading journal, what was? No, it's literally just using Notion, to be honest. Then I just created it myself. It works as a journal, can be almost as a personal journal, but it's mostly focused on trading, of course. There's going to be a phase 2. It's on Notion. It's going to be a phase 2 to that journal, but that's in the future. That's more focused on how to transition from kind of someone that is working full-time to become maybe a full-time trader. That's more focused on their personal lives, but for now is focused on trading. But the aspect of trading that I don't think many people pays attention to, especially when you're looking at journaling, is performance metrics. Like usually people just look at outcome metrics, which is basically your P&L, your win percentage, your risk reward, profit factor, stuff like that, average profit. Like that's all outcome related. Like every journal, every broker, every platform of trading provides you that information. Maybe not as accurate as it should be. For example, when you have a break-even trade, those journals or those brokers, whatever, they'll count it as a winning trade or as a loss, which in reality is a break-even trade, which doesn't really create the right winning percentage, because then it affects also your average win. If it's counting as a win, it's going to affect your average win. It increases your winning percentage, but it decreases the average win. And the journal I created is more focused. Again, of course, includes all of those outcome metrics, but it's going to be more focused on your own performance metric. Okay, and that's basically on what you can control. The outcome you not always control. You are dependable on the opportunities that the market provides. As you know, you cannot control the market in that aspect, but you can control your own actions, the way you execute, the way you do your analysis, the way you manage your trades, the way you feel, the way you kind of are feeling emotion of your, how your mindset is, where you place your targets. Like those are aspects of your own trading that you can control and that you can improve. Not many people, almost no one actually is tracking those stats. Like if I was about to ask you, I bet you don't really track that neither. If I was about to ask you what's your weakest point in your trading, maybe you don't know the answer to it. And you're going to have now a metric to actually tells you which one of those aspects is your weak point and which one is maybe your strongest point as well. And by knowing your weakest point, now you know what you need to work on, and it tells you exactly what you need to do, how to improve from there. Like it's going to be much more focused on process instead of just outcome, which is actually the way we can continue to grow as traders. As again, any other sports performance event, they look exactly for that. Like if you are an athlete, if you are a professional footballer, they are looking how you can carry on improving specific aspects of your own play. Right? How many shots are you taking? What's the percentage of the shots that you are taking? How can you keep improving your shots, your control, your runs, like whatever. Yeah. So that's the main aspect of the journal that I created in here. Aside from other aspects, like which goes into also your daily routines and some other aspects. Again, I'll be sharing more information about it. I'll be sharing more about it in the future. Like again, I can ask you the question: do you know what's your weakest point? Do you know how efficient you are with your own performance? Right? I bet you don't. I bet many don't. You may think you know, because maybe you remember a specific trade that I didn't manage this trade that well. So maybe my weak point is trade management, whatever. Or my execution is really poor. Because you may remember one trade that you didn't execute properly, or you had FOMO, or whatever it may be. Right? But we are quite selective. Our memories are quite selective on what you want to find out. And that's why having a journal is actually going to give you a better reality of we are doing stuff, because it doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. Yeah. All right. So thank you. I will see you next week.